Tahiry and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, hello. Don't forget to click the subscribe button down below and join the fam. I make a lot of fun videos. You're already here. You probably watched a couple, like, subscribe, duh. So in today's video, I am going to be telling you guys my thoughts on the Hala film. So let's backtrack a little bit. About like a month ago, I uploaded a video called This Ain't It, Let's Talk About Muslim Representation, which was inspired by the trailer for the Hala film. It kind of went around on Twitter. A lot of people had a lot to say about it. So I kind of just told my thoughts on the trailer and just my issues with Muslim representation. And then I kind of focused it on specifically in Western media. If you want to know more my initial thoughts about the trailer, I will definitely link that video down below. And a lot of you guys unfortunately wanted me to watch the movie, so I literally just finished watching it probably like 5 minutes ago. I have a journal here which I wrote down my thoughts. It's about it's a couple of pages. It's a couple of pages. But first, as promised, I am going to tell you guys the story behind that little video interaction. I posted my Muslim representation video, which I honestly felt really good about. It wasn't a lot of people talking about it on a bigger scale, such as YouTube. It was just a lot of people talking about it on like Instagram and Twitter. And I really wanted to make a video to kind of just expand on not specifically the movie, but just this common trend that we see in media surrounding Muslim people, specifically Muslim women. A week after I posted the video, I received an email from somebody from Teen Vogue, who I will not name obviously, and she had just let me know that she would be interested in interviewing me to talk more about my video and my thoughts on the Hala trailer and stuff like that. So I was obviously super excited because it's Teen Vogue, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a big freaking deal. And I was like, whoa, like my little old video, like, okay, like I was really feeling myself. So it was about, I think it was like 5 questions. It wasn't anything crazy. And I was also pretty sure that she was interviewing other people as well. And it was just going to be like one cohesive kind of like thing, just giving multiple viewpoints on how we feel about the movie and where we stand on it. I had sent her back my answers, which if I remember to, I will list them on the screen. She asked about my reaction to watching the trailer. She asked about would I watch the movie. She asked me to expand upon the whole white savior trope, to talk more about my issues with Muslim representation and etc. Like just very, you know, generic, basic questions. Fast forward another 2 weeks, she emails me back and she was like, my editor decided to cut your part out of the interview because it was too long. Now I don't know if it was too long or not. I don't know what her limit was. You know, mashallah, I definitely was like kind of like, well, damn, like, because this was something that I really had a lot to say about, and it was a topic that is so important to me. I was definitely one of the first people that I saw talking about this on such a bigger scale, such as YouTube, and really elaborating on issues of Muslim representation. People obviously talk about this a lot, but in regards to centering around like the Hala film and the trailer, I definitely felt like I was a bit instrumental in that, but you know, mashallah. And then so that was kind of the end of our interaction. A month ago, I had just randomly decided to look up Teen Vogue and to see if like when the article came out and if it came out. So when I saw that it was out, I read it. And I have thoughts about the article. A lot of it was talking about how the movie wasn't good, like from a cinematic standpoint, which are obviously valid. The girl that they interviewed, if I can find it, I'm going to put it on the screen. She literally said, I mean, like, yeah, it was bad representation, but isn't bad representation better than no representation? And I was just like, what? Y'all took out my unapologetic, my Muslim AF answers to put in somebody who said bad representation is better than no representation? Are you, like, you're serious? I was just like, oh, okay. And so, like I said, not saying that I'm not saying anything shady was going on, but I definitely do feel like, you know, I am very strong-minded, I am very strong-willed, and I am very passionate about the things that I talk about. And I think that my stance was something that was a little counter to the way that she wanted the interview to go. But that's just my opinion. I will leave it down below. You guys can read it. When Allah takes something away from you, he gives you something better. So yeah, it was like no sweat off my back. Even when you do have spaces that are centered around Muslim people or from Muslim people, we still don't occupy the major spaces. We are still not gatekeepers. So even then, when you're trying to talk about Islam or talk about representation, it's still filtered because you still have, you know, capitalism, white supremacy, and Islamophobia lingering over whatever work you're doing. Alhamdulillah for everything. But let's get into my thoughts on the movie. They weren't handled accurately, but the movie did address some very toxic things that we in the Muslim community need to address, that we need to talk about. One of the biggest problems with Hala's family, and a lot of the root of their problems, was the perception, their issues with perception, wanting to be perceived as one type of family, wanting to be seen as something, also this idea of like secrecy and really hiding and being dishonest, which is unfortunately something that a lot of families in the Muslim community struggle with. This idea of trying to appease the uncles and aunties in the neighborhood and to make sure that nobody's talking about your family. Like, of course you understand there's like honor and whatever, but a lot of it breeds falsehood, and now you're putting on a show and you're being very fake. And I do think the movie did show a good example of how that only breeds toxicity and animosity between family members, and it's definitely something I can relate to. And it's real, if we're being honest. Like, everything is I feel like when a lot of marginalized communities, everything is about how something looks, it's about how something appears, and people's truth and the truth are definitely pushed to the side. So that was something I do feel like they highlighted, and it was real. It could have been done better, but it was definitely something that was real. I also loved the dynamic of Hala and her mother's relationship. I'm going to try to keep this spoiler free. I related to her relationship with her mother in the beginning. Her mother was very overprotective. Her mother was very overbearing. She was very almost hostile to a point. Like, all her interactions with Hala were very accusatory. They were very, you're doing like, she didn't really ask no questions. She was kind of just like boom boom boom, like, this is what I'm saying, this is what needs to be done, you're doing this and this wrong. And I understood Hala's plight. I understood her standpoint and how exhausting that can be. I understand how frustrating that is when you just want somebody to show up for you, and instead they criticize you and tell you of all the things you're doing wrong, rather than just being there to support you. I like the way that we saw that her mother had to change kind of like her angle. They had to change her approach to really resonate and relate to Hala, and that takes a lot of courage. You have to let go of your ego to do that, to acknowledge that what I'm doing is wrong and this is causing friction and fitna between me and my daughter. How do I fix that? That took a lot of courage. I really commend that character arc for the mother. It was just really heartwarming to see. A lot of us people of color, we grow up with families that are super hard and there's not a lot of emotion. Sometimes it just feels like there's not a lot of love. I also really like the fact that she skateboarded. It's not something that you see a lot, and this tweet was going around on Twitter. I had posted it in my Muslim representation video. Somebody was like, can we just see a film with Muslim girls skating? And I was like, bro, like, that would be so dope. Because one of the annoying things about diversity and inclusion and representation or whatever is that one aspect of people becomes all encompassing of their identity. And it's very frustrating because people are more than just their identities. We exist beyond whatever boxes or labels that we have onto ourselves. There's so many things that are involved with being me that are outside of me being Muslim or me being Black or me being a woman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything does not have to be about identity politics. And so I like the fact that she skated, and I wish that was kind of shown more, because for a lot of us that do have like extracurricular activities or other things that we do, these activities become a sense of freedom for us. For me, it was dancing, it was reading, it was writing, it was music. These things were an outlet for me to really just express myself, especially when I felt frustrated at home. And I wish that was seen more. It was kind of, in the movie, you kind of just saw her skating, and then she would just be skating towards the white guy. Like, and I'm just like, there's no other skate parks, there's no other blocks that she could be skating on. Like, okay. I liked the literature aspect of it. I obviously like to read. Like, hello, welcome to my channel. The fact that Hala was a writer obviously resonated with me. It was a certain parts where it was very corny. Like, sometimes, like, when she was like reading her poetry or her journals, like through narration, it was just like, ooh, I want this movie to appear deep, you know?
I want y'all to understand that this is an indie film, that this is deep and philosophical.
So sometimes it was a little bit too much, but in essence, I'm corny, so it was cool. I definitely like the literature aspect of it. Even when the white boy, he was reciting poetry, and I was like, ooh, he know Langston Hughes, what you know about that? Period. For the most part, I definitely enjoyed the last 30 minutes than I did the entire movie. It was about her and her mom, and it was really centered. I felt like it was centered on healing and moving forward. Now onto the things that I did not like. Okay, so it starts with, she or somebody is reciting an ayah from the Quran, and then the camera pans to her in the bathroom and she's masturbating. And like, people masturbate, like, sex is a part of life, and like, you know, people have their own, especially Muslim women, we have our own sexual identities. That really, what, like, her masturbating didn't really, I was just like, okay. But then like 20 minutes later, she's masturbating again. And then it was just like the pacing was off, and I feel like the masturbation scenes and even the sexual scenes in general were just there for shock value. Like it was just there because I wanted you to be like, oh, you don't think that Muslim women feel sexual urges? And it's just like,
bruh, like, who said that?
Who said that? Who said that? Who said that? Who had been saying that? What are you talking about? Like, how you think Muslims got so many damn kids? Like, what are you talking about? It was just very random. The pacing and the timing of the movie was literally all over the place. The first 30 minutes, it was like she was masturbating, and she missed Fajr. And I'm just like, why are you up that early? Like, how you gonna be up that early masturbating and you're not gonna at least pray? Like, I'm okay. She was masturbating, and then she went to, and then her mom was already blacking on her. So very early on, we got the dynamics of her family. Her mom kind of runs shit. Her dad is like goofy and outgoing, but he makes money. And Hala definitely is closer to her dad rather than she is to her mom. And then she's at school and she doesn't really have any Muslim friends, and she already starts looking at the white boy, and I'm just like, what is happening? Like, for the first hour of the movie, I was literally like, so what is the movie about, right? Like, is it a coming of age story? Is it a love story? I did not like her mom in the beginning of the movie at all. If I'm being honest, she reminded me a lot of my mom. She was just like hyper emotional. She was paranoid. She was super sensitive, and she was very accusatory. She didn't really ask Hala anything. Like, she would say stuff to Hala like, you think I'm not smart, and you are ashamed of me, and you wish you don't care about me, and you only want to be with your father. And I was just like, girl, I don't remember Hala saying anything. Like, can she get a word in, sis? Damn. Another thing, this hijab, this is another issue. You can tell when there are a lack of Muslims in the room or a part of certain projects. Same way how when you see a black model or a black person doing like a photo shoot, a video shoot, TV show or performances, you can tell when there were no black makeup artists, when there were no black hairstylists, when there were no black stylists, when there were no black people, no black photographers. You can tell because it affects the quality of the work. And you can tell there were no Muslim people on set because why was her hijab just a knot at the back of her neck? I'm like, can you breathe? You okay? You okay, girl? Like, I was like, I would be mad too. Like, I would really be mad at the world if I was sitting there with my hijab choking me. Like, girl, y'all couldn't afford like Nike hijabs. Like, was that not added to the budget? Like, I just really want to know who tied this knot around her neck. And it was just like what? I'm like, girl, bro, like, I swear for half the movie she was not breathing because her hijab was just in a knot around her freaking neck. Like, was that symbolism? Is that how Islam makes you feel? You know, you can't breathe. Like, girl, I can't. Hala was also very close with her dad. They would do these like, these crossword puzzles, and they would talk about literature and stuff. Her dad was a lawyer, which was super interesting. If you don't know, I am studying law. Her mom was jealous of it, but her mom wasn't really doing no work to change their relationship. So I'm like, how you mad she talking to her father, but you're not doing anything that would make her want to talk to you? Like, her parents had an arranged marriage, and this marriage kind of gets brought up throughout the film. Let's talk about the boy. So, like I said, the movie in itself was not that good, like, as far as cinematography and like filmmaking goes, in my opinion. The timing and pacing was off. I didn't know what was going on half the time. He said the guy's name once. I wasn't really paying it. For half the movie, I was like, what's his name? Like, who is he? Like, what class is this? And let me tell you the thing about white savior tropes, and they asked me about this in the Teen Vogue interview. Is it a problem that a brown girl wants to be with a white guy? No. You know, like, at the end of the day, like, if you want to be with your colonizer, that's your business, you know? Like, that's not really my place to judge. The issue with the white guy or the white girl in regards to Muslim people, the issue lies in that you're only seeking them because A, you're trying to assimilate, and B, you're trying to run away from your culture. And by being with them, it's a way for you to escape who you are. And these relationships are not based off of anything genuine. Like, for example, in the book All American Muslim Girl by Nadine Jolie Courtney, the main character is dating a non-Muslim guy, but they talk a lot about her faith. They talk a lot about Islam. Like, she doesn't use him to hide the fact that she's Muslim. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like Hala and a lot of these books that show Muslim girls and non-Muslim guys is because it's a way for them to run away from their Muslim identity. Their whole relationship didn't have to be them talking about Islam, but you saw her praying kind of throughout the movie, and she is Muslim. She wears a hijab. Like, you would think that it would come up. Like, how you not going... Like, you don't got nothing to say about the scarf on her head. The only thing he asked her was he thought she didn't eat meat. And she said that it has to be zabiha. And then she explained that zabiha is like kosher. And she was like, but they were getting burgers. And she was like, but I don't really care right now. Like, that was it. If you're going to include a white guy into a relationship dynamic, or a white person into a relationship dynamic with a person of color, I would love to see it come from a place of power. The biggest issue with these white savior tropes is that it's always, how can you help me? How can you save me? I need you. I need saving. And here goes this white guy coming in, you know, on his shining horse. That is the issue. I would love to see a film or read a book where the girl is self-sufficient, she is confident, she stands strong in her power and her agency, and she does not need saving. That would help. If y'all are not trying to continue this white savior trope, stop putting white people with girls that need to be saved. Like, also, he was ugly. There was nothing special about him. If you're gonna give me like a haram relationship, right? If we're gonna give me a relationship with a Muslim girl and a non-Muslim guy, right? You better give me love. You know what I'm saying? Like, they better be head over heels in love. They better have the first love, you know, star-crossed lovers, like even the forbidden lovers. Like, give me, they kind of like had a crush on each other. Oh, and they had a sexual encounter. And then after that, they never spoke again. Then she tried to have another sexual encounter with her teacher. Like, and then you see these moments of like Hala like running out of her house into the street.
Run, bitch, run!
On one scene, she rips off her hijab and she throws it into the street. And I'm just like, what the hijab did to you? Like, she is emotionally unstable. She is lost, and she lives in a toxic household where it's very suffocating trying to live up to her parents' expectations and to the roles that they want her to fit into and the roles of what society wants her to fit into, and her trying to figure out who she is. And I resonated with Hala, and I feel for her. And I talked about this in my recent interview, that my biggest issue with a lot of these films or a lot of Muslim representation in media is that a lot of these publishing houses, publishers, producers, TV networks, things like that, they are using the trauma of Muslim people. Like, Hala was definitely like, she needed therapy. She needed to talk to somebody. With all the things that she was going through, I really didn't understand how taking off her hijab was going to be the solution to any of her problems. I really don't understand how her kissing her teacher was going to help her. I really don't understand how her, throwing her hijab in the street was going to solve the fact that she needed hell. The reason why the end of the movie was my favorite was because the secrets start to unravel. That's where I felt like it got more interesting, because you're like, oh, okay, now we can deal with reality. Because for the first beginning of the movie, their family was kind of robotic, which I'm pretty sure was on purpose. They were, like I said, just operating in these roles, and they were just doing what was expected of them, but there was no real family unit. There wasn't like a center of like love and understanding and, you know, respect. There wasn't any of that really there. They were kind of just like moving. And so towards the end, you start to see the truth comes out. Like, for example, the dad has been like having an affair this entire time with somebody that he worked with at the law firm, and she had a kid by him, I think. I really wasn't paying attention. Oh, I completely forgot the fact that he slapped her. Like, it was so random. Like, she had gotten back from the boys' house and her dad had slapped her, and her mom came to her defense, and I loved that, because her mom, it was so funny how the dad said that Hala is the reason why the mom was so overprotective and so overbearing and so cold. But how the dad treated Hala was what made Hala's mom stand up for her. And that was just so interesting to see, because I kind of, now reflecting on it, the dad was definitely trying to make it seem like, oh, I'm the cooler parent, I'm the funner parent, like, you know, I'm college educated, like I do X, Y, and Z. What does your mom do? She just does your laundry, she just cooks in the house. It definitely made me look at their relationship a lot differently, because when it really mattered, the mom was there. And that's something that I definitely feel like helped Hala and her mom's relationship. There was a scene at the school where Hala was talking to a counselor and she called her mom, and her mom called her dad, understandably. And even though Hala was upset about it, the dad sends his mistress to talk to Hala. The dad really had negative feelings about the mom. He told the mom that he never wanted to marry her and that his dad is the reason that he married her in the first place. He didn't really care about their marriage, and I feel like he was kind of buttering and sugaring Hala up just so that she wouldn't be close to her mom. And at the end, when her mom like says that she divorces him 3 times, I was like, period. And I really wish that the movie centered more on the issue with these family dynamics rather than the undertone that Islam was the problem. I know, coming from a similar type of household, a lot of Muslim parents, they use Islam as a reason to why they act X, Y, and Z. I wish there were moments where we challenge that narrative. I wish we were shown that these were false in regards to Islam, and that these were just cultural situations, because people always confuse Islam and culture. And I really wish that we saw that challenge. Like, I really wish that it was shown that, hey, the issue isn't that they were Muslim, that it was Islam oppressing them. The issue is that her father was a dickhead, and and their family was just hiding secrets from each other. And sure, they used Islam as a reason to justify their toxic household. At the end of the day, Islam and her hijab and being Muslim was not the thing that was oppressing her. And I really feel like if that was implicated more in the movie, I would have less problems with it, and I think a lot of people would have less problems with it. The movie wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Her taking off her hijab was super corny, and she prayed, and then she took off her hijab and she went outside. What did your hijab have to do with anything? You know, she needed a lot of introspective work, and it's easier, I feel like, to take off your hijab than to really sit there and be like, damn, I need therapy, or damn, I don't know who the hell I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I just felt like it was corny. There was a lot of potential for this to be a good film. I'm just gonna say that. If there was more of an emphasis on Hala's mental state, on the dynamics between her parents, her familial structure. I also wish there was more of an Islamic presence in the house. You saw her praying, and her dad even mentioned, like, I'm gonna take the Quran and make you swear on it. And I was dying, because that's literally so, like, Muslim parents, just mad annoying. There was like a moment where after her dad slapped her, she went upstairs and she was on her prayer mat and she was crying. And I'm assuming she had just prayed. And I really wish that moment was kind of expanded upon, because it's those moments where you need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, when you feel like nobody is there for you, when nobody has your back, when you feel alone, when you're hurt, when you're confused, like, those are the moments when you're supposed to seek Allah. And I really feel like, of course, prayer is not the answer to everything. Hala definitely needed therapy, But something that I hold dearly to me, and I talked about this in my last video, my Get Ready With Me, is my relationship with Allah. It is something that is mine, and once I started claiming my own Muslim identity separate from my family, it became more of a sense of pride to me. I feel like there is a lot of power in reclaiming your Muslim identity, especially if you grow up in a household with parents that use Islam as an excuse to mistreat you. And it's hard, it's not easy, but there is definitely a lot of strength in knowing that, yo, whatever bullshit you're preaching right now is not even from Islam. Like, whatever you're talking about, your justifications are BS. They're actually haram and they're harmful. And there's a lot of power in knowing that even if everybody is against me, even if I can't relate to anybody, there's a lot of security in knowing that you are not just being punished and that people's behavior, that this is not from Allah. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, the way that Muslims act pushes a lot of people away from Islam, and it is something that we as a community need to work on. However, I don't know. This was a long ass video. My thoughts are kind of all over the place. Overall, out of 5 stars, I would probably give Hala 2. I hope this made some type of sense. If you guys want to see more discussion, react, review videos, maybe to like certain TV shows, certain movies, let me know. I also want to start reviewing books a lot more, which is, I don't know why I don't do that. I am kind of a booktuber. So yeah, if you guys like this video and liked my rant discussion video, or you like this Muslim representation series, I guess, that I'm doing on my channel, please like and comment down below and let me know your thoughts on it. Did you watch Hala? How did you feel about it? All dialogue is welcome. If you loved it, please comment down below and we can talk about it. Like, I am not interested in policing anybody's thoughts and opinions, and you are entitled to feel however you want. Even if you don't want to watch the movie, I get that too. I kind of wish I had those 2 hours back, but you know, mashallah. We do it for y'all. We do it for the content. We do it for the culture. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me everywhere at SincerelyTahiry, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.